All right, so we're gonna cover the RDL today. We're gonna basically cover some good setup points and also where we wanna feel some weight through our feet as we go through the movement to make sure you're getting the most out of this exercise, right? So when we're doing the RDL, we really wanna make sure our hips are pushing back so we can really gain some strength, gain some muscle in those hamstrings and those glutes or the back side of the legs. So to do so, the first thing we're gonna focus on is keeping our upper body and our lower body connected as one unit, okay? What I see a lot of people do is they get too big of a chest here, right? So I think chest up, and we start to disconnect the upper body from the lower body. This is probably gonna put a little more stress in the low back. And sometimes people feel this in like the front of the hips too if they set up like this, but a lot of times they feel like all their low back working, they're not feeling like hamstrings and glutes. Not saying you always have to feel a muscle for it to be working in a good position, but we probably don't want to feel a low back doing most of the work either. So how do we get those two things to move as a unit? First thing, use your breath to get in a good position. So pretend if I had the bar, I'm gonna set up, I'm gonna get a nice inhale, and I'm just gonna let a full exhale happen. That's just gonna keep this front side of the body locked in and keeping upper body and lower body moving as one unit. From there, all I'm gonna do now, since I have that unit in place, is just push my hips back and my upper body just follows in that order. Hips go back, chest just falls forward, right? It doesn't round, it just comes along for the ride. And that's really making sure our hips are getting as far back as possible, so we're really working hamstrings and glutes once again. Because the other thing is, if we're too tall here, I'm probably not going to be able to get as far down as I could if I make sure those two things move as a unit together. The other piece of the RDL is foot position, or really where do we want to feel a weight in our feet. Once again, a lot of people go too heel heavy here. At the bottom, their toes start to lift off, they lose sort of some balance there, their center of mass changes, and we want to keep the weight actually over our midfoot. So we want to feel some weight through our heels, but we also want to feel a little weight midfoot, forefoot, particularly if we press big toe down, that usually helps here. So we feel heel, we feel big toe slightly pressed on the floor, we're probably going to be set up for success. So once we pick the bar up, inhale, exhale. Now I got my upper body and lower body positioned well, and then I'm just going to find heel, I'm going to find big toe, and then I'm just going to drive hips back, and then coming back up. And that's your RDL. The last little piece is head position. I don't want to look up. Same thing, that's probably gonna drive chest up if we do that. But I also don't wanna be like overlocked down and head coming forward. So just a little gaze in front of me with my eyes. Head can be slightly up. I just don't want this huge increase in head position, okay? So that's a good setup. That's how you wanna feel weight over your feet. Just to make sure you're taking full advantage of this exercise. And that is barbell RDL.